Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and I'll be presenting on barriers and enablers to engaging underrepresented adolescents and young adults in cancer research. So in Canada, more than 8,000 adolescents and young adults, or AYAs, are diagnosed with cancer every year. While the majority survive, their health and survivorship is negatively impacted. A major nationwide study called YAC Prime identified financial disadvantages, higher distress, and poorer quality of life in AYAs with cancer. This is important for addressing and identifying key areas for supporting this population. But a major limitation of the study is its lack of diverse representation. And cancer research in general just fails to capture the experiences of people with under-researched social identities, including those who are Indigenous, racialized, 2S LGBTQIA+, living with a disability, and/or cisgender male, which limits the applicability of current research findings. So I wanted to understand how to address this limitation and increase diverse representation in cancer research. To do this, the objective of my pilot study was to identify the barriers and enablers to engaging underrepresented AYAs in research, and to hopefully use these findings to shape recruitment strategies for future studies. So in our study, participants were included if they were adolescents or young adults diagnosed with cancer who live in Canada and who self-identified as underrepresented or under-researched. They were recruited through social media, referrals from other participants, and promotions from our community partners. We conducted virtual 90-minute focus groups on Zoom, where participants were asked about the barriers and enablers that they faced in their research experiences, along with their ideas for effectively engaging with underrepresented groups. The pilot findings from this study will inform the structure and content of future focus groups. Those will then be transcribed verbatim and analyzed by two independent coders using thematic analysis to capture the main themes or ideas of our participants. In terms of preliminary results, we conducted 3 focus groups with 23 participants. After examining our data, we did identify some discrepancies, so I'll be reporting on 9 participants for this pilot phase. Participants were on average 25 years old and diagnosed at age 20, and the majority self-identified as Black, gay, lesbian, or bisexual, and cisgender male. So I'll be presenting on some preliminary themes. Please pause this video at any point if you'd like to read the quotes. So in terms of barriers that participants faced, this included discrimination from doctors and researchers, such as differential treatment based on racial status. Sympathy, amongst other factors, were also considered barriers in that they caused unwarranted reminders of one's cancer. In terms of enablers to engagement, accessibility and comfort were important in creating a safe space where participants could make personal disclosures. Online spaces were also beneficial in allowing for anonymity, which meant that participants could avoid judgment based on their physical appearance. Lastly, social media was considered the main method for engaging younger participants, but other ideas were also proposed that revolved around raising awareness about cancer and addressing the stigma around it in the public sphere, which could help pull people with cancer, quotes, out of their shell. So these barriers and enablers highlight ways we can improve upon our current methods of engagement to make our research more representative. And this is important when research can inform clinical practices and policies that impact all AYAs with cancer across social backgrounds. I'd like to highlight how anonymity shaped our focus group experience, in that participants would have their cameras off and interact via the chat box, and they were overall reluctant to disclose their cancer experience and identity. This may be indicative of distrust towards the focus group members, and it also impacted our confidence in verifying their eligibility when it came to addressing discrepant data. So this brings forth new considerations for online studies in the future. And some of the future directions we'll be taking include conducting identity-specific focus groups to help foster some trust among participants based on shared experience, and to conduct screenings beforehand to explain the focus group dynamic and gauge their comfort with that, or offer interviews as an alternative. Lastly, I'll continue to conduct and analyze focus groups until we reach saturation, or when we no longer generate any new findings. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the University of Calgary for funding this project with their VPR Catalyst grant. I'd like to also thank my research team and our partners and collaborators for supporting me in this project, and lastly, our participants. These are my references, and thank you for listening.